Good evening. My name is Darrin 1831 Collins, and today I will be reading a copy of my children's book, No Mountain High Enough, Zola's Daddy-Daughter Dates. Um, this children's book can be bought at collinscubicle.com. That's collinscubicle.com. Today, as I'm reading this, what I want you all to be thinking about, so before I jump into it, I'm going to discuss the book a little bit, but what I want you all to be thinking about is, how is Zola's family similar or different from your own? And what adventures do you want to go on with your parents? All right. So before I jump into the book, as an author, one thing that I really want to do with any of my work is I want to promote a healthy Black esteem for foundational Black Americans. And that just means how we view ourselves and our identities outwardly towards the world. Because I believe that if we foster that self-esteem, the way that we are treated and the way that we respond to it will be very different. And that will change a lot about our condition and our freedom. All right. So for this book, I wrote this book for my daughter. Myself and her mother were not together. And growing up, I found that I was insecure about growing up in a single parent household. And I was also insecure about my brothers and I not having the same father. So I found that I didn't want to talk about a lot of things that would go on in my household because my family was very different from that of other people's. But I think as a father now and as somebody who really cares about that healthy Black esteem, I think it's important with that understanding that not all parents will be together, that parents are honest with their children, but also that children understand that it's okay to talk about your family because not all families are the same. All right. So before I jump into it, I just want you all to know I do have another children's book coming out in this series, Dr. Zola and Daddy Explore Ear Infections. And I also have a novel, which is very pertinent to the current conditions. So this novel is about responses to police violence called Native Invisibility. And all of those can be bought at collinscubicle.com. All right. So remember our guiding questions. How is Zola's family similar or different from your own? What adventures do you want to go on with your parents? All right. So without further ado, make sure we're in here. Daddy used to read to me. He even read to me before I was born. When I was younger, my daddy would tell me, Zola, in life, you can only go as far as your imagination. Books help build your imagination and develop your ability to give life to the unseen. I didn't know what he meant, but I'm starting to understand. My daddy loved to read, and so do I. And I know that books can take you to worlds far beyond your wildest dreams. All right. I was born on March 5. My daddy says that even the dog knew I was coming. You might hear the dog in the background. Your mom's water broke when she tried to kick Yogi out of the nursery. The door was closed. How did he get in? He laughed. We went to Washington Park and walked to the hospital. You were perfect, he says, smiling at me. He always picks me up when he tells the story. A lot of people love this illustration. I kind of like it as well. Shortly after I was born, my mommy and daddy got a divorce, but they both still loved me so much. My mommy tried to move us away from my daddy. They went to court, and it really hurt when I couldn't see my daddy when I wanted to. I love him so much that my very first word was dada. I would say it over and over until he appeared. In court, there was a man in a long black robe. He sat at the front of the courtroom. He knew I wanted to be with my daddy, and my daddy wanted to be with me. They went back and forth to court for months, but it seemed like forever. Every time my daddy saw the man in the robe, he gave us more time together. I call them daddy-daughter dates. I love the dates my daddy takes me on. He makes me feel so important. So once again, no matter what type of family you have, it's always important that you are comfortable and confident with your family and the love that they show you. When my daddy came to pick me up, I would use my imagination. I would picture us on the most adventurous and wondrous daddy-daughter date ever. Once we were a king and a princess. Another time, we were pioneers in search of a lost land. Whenever I spent time with my daddy, it was like time stood still. We were all that mattered. I love my daddy. Our doggy Yogi is really smart and playful. My daddy takes him on long walks to the park and lets him play and run around with other dogs. I begged my daddy to take me on a walk with them. He looked down and said, Zola? It is too cold, baby. Your cheeks and nose will turn red. But I wanted to be wherever my daddy was. I begged and he finally gave in. So you see, I got another shout out to Native Invisibility in the background. I love my illustrators. Oh. On the walk, I used my wonderfully powerful imagination. My daddy and I became sled drivers, and Yogi was our sled dog. I imagined 6 dogs attached to the sled with my daddy at the helm. We were on a mission to explore the North Pole. We were the only brave souls willing to face such harsh weather. It was bitterly cold, but I was with my daddy, and that was all that mattered. One time, my daddy took me to Washington Park to see Universal Circus. There were clowns and motorcycle stunts. I saw trapeze artists, contortionists, and men riding horses. The event was very impressive. I asked my daddy about every act. Daddy, what if they fall? Daddy, how much does an elephant weigh? Daddy, how can he squeeze into a hula hoop? We actually went to Universal Circus. She was crying the whole time. But she's only one now, so it's okay for her to cry when the motorcycles come. Let me get them. Once again, my imagination took over, and Daddy and I were Princess of Washington Park. We wore purple robes. Daddy's crown was so big it nearly fell off. I looked up at Daddy and asked, "Can I have some cotton candy, please, Your Highness?" He looked at me with a smile on his face. "Yes, my princess." He called the court jester over and asked for 2 cotton candies. The jester nodded and obliged. "It is my pleasure to serve you and the future queen of the kingdom." Here's another one of my favorite illustrations. For Halloween, my daddy took me trick-or-treating. We dressed up as King Kong and the Empire State Building. Of course, my daddy was the Empire State Building. We went from house to house and came back with a garbage bag full of candy. There was more candy than I could eat in a whole year. Daddy only let me eat 2 pieces before dinner. I think he keeps my Halloween candy in the garage and secretly eats it all. But that's what daddies are for, I think. Even though we were dressed up like King Kong in the Empire State Building, I imagined we were pirates in search of our treasure. We went from island to island, digging through mounds of gold, silver, and platinum, so we could find our true treasure, the house that gave out money after they ran out of candy. We found 4 islands with no more candy. Our booty totaled $3.50. That's always a dope house. Hopefully people are giving out dollars now. They usually give out quarters when I was a kid. My daddy loves to take care of his house. He always tells me, in the future, this will all be yours, and you need to know how to take care of it. One day, he took me up to the rooftop. He showed me how to check for water damage. We looked over the top of the building. Daddy told me, you can have anything you want. You just have to believe. I knew what he said was true because when he believed, the judge gave us daddy-daughter dates. We in there. Another one of my favorite illustrations. Once again, we were the king and the princess of Washington Park. We overlooked our kingdom from up high. My daddy showed me my birthright. I pictured a hamlet with all of the houses leading to our castle. Daddy walked along the roof, telling me how to ensure the kingdom's safety. He told me where the guards should be and how to stop intruders. He is a good king. I love my daddy. I can't wait until our next daddy-daughter date. Who knows where it will take us? I know my daddy loves me because he makes me feel special every time he holds me. Even though daddy and mommy divorced, he shows me every day how much I mean to him. Maybe we'll go fishing, skating, or biking on our next adventure. But for now, it is nap time, and there's no better place to be than fall asleep in my daddy's arms. All right? So that is the end of the book. Once again, I wrote this book just with the idea that it's vital for kids to feel proud of their family and where they come from, their history. Like I said, my brothers and I don't and didn't have the same father growing up. And that's something that I didn't really talk about to other people because I felt ashamed of that, like it was a reflection on us or me in some way. Likewise, when children go through divorce, it's very important that those children know that both parents still love them, and also that they're not ashamed that one parent may not be in the household as much as the other. So with that said, remember our guiding questions. One, how is Zola's family similar or different from your own? So make sure that you think about that and that you talk through how your family differs from others, because that is important in understanding yourself as a human being. And then what adventures do you want to go on with your parents? So start thinking about, we've been quarantined, it's the summertime, start thinking about where you want to go and what adventures you want to have with your parents and what you all want to learn together. Once again, y'all can shop at College Cubicle for Zola Daddy Daughter Dates. I also have Native Invisibility, which is released and very pertinent. And check us out September. I will have Dr. Zola and Daddy Explore Ear Infections coming out very soon. All right. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.